we've been spotted. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work out doing videos on Sunday. I think I'm gonna stick with like Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning and uploading them then, where the least amount of people will see. It just works out that way for my schedule. But anyway, what I've been up to is right now I'm doing a build for someone who's really into air guns, and he just wants it to shoot videos. So lucky for us, I'm gonna uh, include links to his channel when he gets them up and running, and they'll be nice. That way I don't have to do those videos. Yeah, and anyway, here is the one that I'm building for him. As you can see, it's got a yellow board housing on it. I didn't realize this until after I was in there, and somebody gone in there and it looked like they'd had an external battery pack and done all kinds of fiddling around in there, and I could see where the black was worn off, where they'd done some scraping out for something. And yeah, back in the day, people used to take their bumblebee housings and boil them in RIT dye to get them black. So I let them know about that before I did this. And I was thinking that maybe the yellow was going to show a little bit around the buttons, but it didn't. I knew it was going to show at the window. And I had to redo the hole for the magazine jack, so that's why parts of it are yellow, but it's kind of neat. And I hate making those shrouds. That's a labor of love on my part, and it's beginning to not even be that anymore, because it takes me all day to make one, and I just don't have a lot of time. But yeah, it's a carbon fiber shroud. There's an aluminum bushing that keeps it centered on the barrel, and the end nut just holds it on there. And that's on a 400 millimeter Russian barrel. I also finished replica Blackbird with all the trimmings last week for somebody in Hawaii, and he wanted me to do a short little video, so I will put that right here. Alrighty, so there she be. Let's go shoot her. Before we do that, if you let me know what color you want on your batteries, I will put one of these up under there in the right spot. If not, what you do is this just pulls out of there. You can put it in there and then press it down and just push that back in there. Just a quick crash course. This first button, in case you don't already know, is your burst rate. It goes from 1 to 10, and then the 3 dashes indicates full auto. Yeah, I realize you can probably barely see that, but it is what it is. Alright, so we're on full auto, and then we have 2K, 3K, 4K, and 1K. And this is our pulse. So I'm going to start out with the lowest pulse, 4. So it goes 4 to 12. And
Generally, like when I test these things, I test them on a low pulse and make sure they do it on the low pulse, and then when the customer gets it, they can keep bumping it up until it starts to malfunction, and whatever they end up with on whatever particular fire rate is dependent on what pressure they're using and the length of the barrel and the valve. All right, so let me just stand you up, and we'll start out with 1,000, and I'll be hollering out the fire rates. Two thousand. 3,000. 4,000. All right, it did not like a pulse of 4 for 4,000. So this is a pulse of 5 on 4K. We're out of BBs. These batteries in here, they don't have a full charge. And what will happen is that if the motor's going to want to draw current away from the solenoid, and everything is kind of in a balance with these particular batteries. So if the motor draws too much away from the batteries, the solenoid will not fire. And with these 14500s, typically that is how you know it's time to change your batteries. In general, you'll get like 5 to 7 magazines from a full charge of these 14500s. I have no idea how old these batteries are. They might be 5 years old. But yeah, they're just not fully charged. And each fire rate may favor a different pulse rate. I think that also gets kind of into the harmonics of everything. But that's it. It is what it is. Later.
And yesterday, another good customer of mine he purchased it a few days ago. It was delivered to him yesterday, a replica, just plain Jane, just as they come to me, stuck together and tested at 800 psi. Well, he put 1400 psi behind it right out of the gate. It didn't work for him. Yeah, I believe I mentioned, but if I didn't, or if you haven't heard it, if you get it without the hardening process I also offer, don't put high pressure air behind it. Don't put more than 800 psi behind it. I don't trust them beyond that unless I do the hardening process. The one one of the first ones, thinking back, I think I only tested that one on CO2, and I don't think the owner shoots above 1,000 psi, so that's probably why he hasn't had any issues with it. And yeah, that one was the one that came back because it had a jammed BB in it. The magazine came back to me for that. But yeah, I don't know. I still haven't been able to figure that out. All I can figure is they're not making the springs out of the same material, because that seems to be the issue of failure on those. It just seems like it bends too much. It's got too much memory in it. because, back in the day when Drawsmax was in business, we would get them and put 1600 psi behind them and they were fine. But these springs seem to be bending, so when you get that hardening process, you actually get a different auger that can't bend. It just forces everything in there. It's just no monkeying around with that. And then you're already there, so why not spend the extra couple hundred and get it 4K'd? But that's up to you. That at that point, you're really looking at getting a whole air system and all of that. So it gets expensive getting into it for sure. However, I knew Ronald would know what to do with it because he's been a customer of mine for a long time. And so I was like, should I sell it to him like he's asking? I was like, well, I know he knows how to fix it. I'll take a roll of the dice with this one. But other than that, he said he was really happy with it, and he said he's going to do what needs to be done to it to get it where he wants it. So I should be wrapping up the yellow housing build today or tomorrow. Tomorrow's my 15th anniversary, by the way. And yeah, I'll give you links to that guy's channel, video, whatever. I think he's a little bit more into social media than I am. One day I'll do a good rant on social media on here for you, but not today. I'll give you all those links, but that'll be really cool. And yeah, he's got a real cool setup. Maybe he'll get into telling you about it and whatnot. But until then, later.